welcome back. You're still locked in at your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on SABC3, and we are live and loving learning about all the different cultures around the world. And this morning we're going to continue our exploration, and we are on our way to France. Now, we're so happy to touch base with South African Lauren Parks and her French partner Edouard Leleu, who are now based in the French Alps region of France, which is just outside of a town called Annecy. And it's bonjour to Lauren and Edouard, I believe. Is that correct? Am I saying it correctly?
Oh, yes, exactly.
How are you guys?
Great.
Yeah. Look, it's always so awesome having you in the studio and from all the way across the world. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. It's a bit cold. We've just come off some heavy snow, but other than that, we're keeping warm and cozy by the fire, so it's fine.
It's so crazy. You think about snow. I'm looking outside and I'm seeing the sunrise, and the weather's looking so different. But I got to ask, Lauren, how did you meet Edouard? And can you tell us a bit about your story together? What led to you eventually living and ending up in France, and how long have you been there for?
Sure. I'll let Edward explain this one.
Yeah, so basically we met through mutual friends, a South African friend and a French friend.
Yeah.
So they invited us, both of us, at a braai in the suburbs of Cape Town. That's how we met. And since then, we went on our first date, and since then we've been together for 6 years.
Yeah.
So yes, that's about it.
And I'm sure, Lauren, for us South Africans, when we hear an accent like Edouard's, that's just like, how can we say no to that? So I've got to ask, what has it been like arriving in a new country, of course, and especially during this worldwide pandemic? I mean, essentially leaving your family and all that you know and going into this new adventure, which amongst craziness, to say a few words and objectives, I mean, that's probably the least of it. I mean, what has it been like?
Well, first, I think it's best to give a bit of context. At the time before, when COVID really hit, and it was this worldwide pandemic thing that just started a year ago in March, Edouard was currently, at the time, he was in South America doing a bit of travels and was supposed to return in May. But then everything, all the borders closed and all of those things. And even though he's a permanent resident of South Africa, when our borders were closed in South Africa, they weren't letting citizens in, let alone, permanent residents. So he returned back to France, and while we were still trying to figure out, what are we going to do about the situation, he got offered a job, and it kind of set things into motion for a new journey, So for 2020, after all of that, we just kind of focused on getting me here. It was tough, I must say. Like, obviously, France and South Africa were one of the two countries that had, the most cases at the time. So it was kind of impossible, but we never gave up. And I think up until the moment that I boarded the flight to France, it was quite hectic. I missed the flight before because certain countries weren't letting me transfer into France via them. And so it was quite stressful, but all worthwhile.
It looks like it. And look at you now. You guys are happily together, of course, smiling and chatting to us from across the world. Now, I've got to ask, I went to France and I was blessed enough to go to Montpellier. The place itself is absolutely incredible. But one thing I really did struggle with was the language, which was quite hard to obviously try to master, especially being a South African, all our little twangs and everything else. But what's been the biggest cultural or, let's say, lifestyle difference for you? Especially seeing that you've had to be adapting in such a crazy time.
Well, look, the language is the most difficult. It's quite an intricate language, so that's like the top of the list. I think the weather in winter is something I'm still getting used to. Spring is coming up soon, which we can't wait for. But for example, we've just had some more snow this week, and I got to the car in the morning, I was about to leave, and I couldn't because I couldn't open the door, and I had to get snow off the roof of the car and scrape the windscreen. So I'm driving on the other side of the road. Other than that, I think there's not much that's really different. The food, food is a big deal here. That's a big part of their culture. And just a million courses of meals, per serving of food. Lunch is 3 courses plus canapes in the beginning. So,
what would you say are some of the, let's say, similarities when it comes to life in France and obviously South Africa as well?
Actually, for me, because I've been living in Cape Town for 10 years, I would say the south of France looks a bit like Cape Town. There's some similarity with that. The weather of south of France looks like Cape Town. The melting pot, the culture, there's a lot of good mix of people here in France, mix of culture.
Yeah.
there's something that actually reminded me when I was in South Africa about a dish called beef bourguignon. And it's similar to the pochicos, if I pronounce it well.
Yeah, you got the
pochicos.
pronunciation right. I believe that you have become quite proficient in French. Is that so? Now, can you possibly teach me maybe one or two phrases that I have, that could possibly help me during the day and kind of just make things a little bit easier? Or maybe if I was to be able to head to France soon.
Yeah, I think the basics are the bonjour, je m'appelle Lauren, so you would say je m'appelle your name.
Je m'appelle Ryle, is that correct?
Yeah, je m'appelle Ryle, yeah, oui. Comment ça va is how are you? And you would respond and say, je vais très bien, merci beaucoup. So thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Oui.
Well done.
One of my favorites is a bientôt, which is see you soon. And my absolute favorite, instead of cheers, they do santé, which I love.
So aviante santé. Is that a goodbye and cheers?
Santé. Oui, oui, oui.
Okay.
And then obviously kissing greetings, which we can't do now because of social distancing, but bisou, bisou. Bisou means kiss, so.
I've got to say again, thank you so, so much. It's so awesome being able to chat to you, obviously in the heart of France and across the world. But again, Edouard and Lauren, thank you again also for sharing the experiences that you've had with us. And we wish you nothing but the best for this exciting new venture that you're on. And please do come share more of your stories and experiences when you are back in South Africa.
We will. We miss you guys. And we miss South Africa. We'll see you soon. Bisou, bisou.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So awesome. Chatting from everybody all over the world. And you too. If you're watching right now from anywhere across the globe, let us know because we want to get in touch.